Hey everyone, welcome back to DIY Crasher. Today I'm diving into something completely new for me, a laser engraver. That's right, I've never used one of these before, and I'm taking you along for the ride. A big thanks to Creality for sending me their Falcon A1 Pro to test out and do a review on. In full disclosure, they did send me this unit for review, but this review video is not sponsored by Creality, nor am I being paid to say anything. I'll have affiliate links though in the description if you decide to grab one, and at that time I would be paid a small commission if you decide to pick one up. But that does not have any influence over my review of this laser itself, and keeping it completely real is my goal. It's quite simple right out of the box, and I want to give you kind of dimensions, that way you see if you have room for a laser like this. It is nice and compact. I do have it on sitting on like a little workbench table cart. It happens to be the perfect size for this. This one's made by Husky. And just to let you know the dimensions of the unit itself, it does come in at like 22.5 wide by like 18.5 deep. And it does stand at about 8.5 inches tall. And that's including the lid here. So the laser that this comes with is a 20-watt blue diode laser, which comes inside the unit already attached. And here it is right here. So that's a 20-watt blue diode. That's going to be good for engraving like woods, different materials, and leather, and it's rated at 20 watts. This is going to be a more powerful laser than their regular A1 model, which is only a 10-watt diode, so it's twice as powerful in that sense. And it's also rated at 600 MMS as far as their speed goes, so that's 600 millimeters per second that it runs up to. And the optional 2-watt infrared laser is available. It's not included with the laser, so this would be a separate add-on if you decide you want to do any type of metal engraving. That's what this 2-watt laser would be good for. And it is rated at 2-watt infrared, and you'll be able to do some basics with different metals and engravings on them. And I just was testing it out, and as a beginner, and even with experienced laser users, which they could tell you, it's going to take some time to dial in the settings. Now, one thing that's good about Creality is that they do have built-in settings in their software. You select the material that is in their program and the thickness, then it has like default settings. Usually you want to stick with that, but if you have different results than what you should be getting, then from those settings you want to play around and adjust the different parameters, whether it's the speed or the power output of the laser itself. Now, this 20-watt diode laser is good for cutting up to 10 millimeter thick basswood. That's basically about just over 3/8 inch thick of material, which is pretty good. And it'll also cut through 8 millimeter thick of black acrylic. So if you want to do specific designs with acrylic, you can do so, as well as with the basswood and even other wood materials. This does have a built-in high definition camera built into the lid. This is going to be your little workhorse for this laser, because it's going to allow this to take an image of your workpiece and allow you to set whatever design you want to engrave onto the image of the item that you're going to be engraving on. So it has a very good accuracy of where you want to place your image at on a specific product or design, whatever you're making. And just to give you an example here, when testing it out, I took a Milwaukee fastback knife and I engraved my logo on it with a metal engraver. So I was able to place it on the bed and place the logo right exactly where I wanted it, and that's where it placed it. So you want accuracy like that when you're dealing with small pieces, to be able to set the engraving right exactly where you want it. So it does pretty good. The other thing that's nice about this laser, it does have the built-in side screen right here. So you're able to actually control the laser through here if you wanted to. You use this screen to connect to the internet, and it has all the connection points on the one side of the laser. So you need to run all the cables. For the power cable here, plugs into right here, and then there's a pump cable that activates the air pump, because you want air to be flowing in at the laser to keep the work surface clean. This is where the air hose plugs into from the air pump. It does come with a key, so that way no one can be using the laser without your permission, basically. If you have little ones running around and you don't want them to have access to the laser and start running it. And then it has a USB Type-C connection that goes to the computer if you want to run it to a computer, which I ended up getting a 6-foot cable. It comes with one already, but it was too short for where I needed to place it with my computer. But it's pretty straightforward in connecting all these cables and the devices. And then I'll show next of connecting exhaust hose out the back. You do want to have good ventilation available, whether it's running the exhaust tube out of a window or maybe have it set up in the garage with the garage door open, because as soon as you're going to be engraving any kind of wood, it's going to create like a burning smell, and it will smell up the house if you're not running the exhaust on it. Now, another optional item that they do have available is a honeycomb grid. I would highly recommend picking this up, because if you're going to be doing any kind of cutting with the laser, it's good to have something like this. That way you're not engraving or cutting basswood or other materials directly on the bottom surface of this, because you will mark up the bottom surface. Plus two, it's good to have the airflow coming in underneath it as well, and then when it's cutting, and that way the laser is touching specifically this area and not going all the way through. You will still get some markings on the bottom, but it's just not going to be as much. But it's definitely worth having something like this in place, and would highly recommend picking it up as well if you decide to buy this laser. So I'm going to go ahead and place it in. Oh, in case you're wondering like the size of this honeycomb, in case you might already have something like this, I'll let you know what the size that fits in there. So this is basically 18 1/8 inch wide by 13 5/8 inch deep, and it fits perfectly inside of the lower tray area here. I'll move the laser out of the way just so it won't be in the way. And that's what it looks like fitted inside. So it's ready to go. And Creality does have its own software, and it has an app on the phone you can download to your phone and even do designs from your phone and send it to the Creality A1 Pro. So it makes it more versatile in that sense. And here's another project that I did do. I did like a little DIY crasher coaster out of like 3mm thick basswood. So it did cut right through there. This was like another test piece I did on the backside after doing the calibration of the camera. And that's what it looks like, so I think it turned out pretty good. And then here's what it looks like on a metal business card. I was trying different settings, so I was able to do the logo on a black aluminum business card. The other thing that's cool about this is that it has like AI power behind it with the camera system. If you're doing batch etchings, engravings on, to say, different metal pieces, for example like dog tags, if you're doing one design on a metal piece and you want to do multiples of them, you can place them in the bed, and with the program that they have is so smart that it can autofill where you want it placed. Once you place it on one of the items, then it can go from there with the placement of the remaining items in the bed. So that's going to be a pretty cool feature. But now I'm going to go ahead and come up with the next design to do. I'm going to attempt to do a picture this time and see how it turns out. Alright, so now I have the Falcon design space loaded on the computer, and I'm under the canvas section to be able to start a new design. I'm going to go over here to camera, and then I'm going to take a photo, because you want to take a photo of the workpiece that you have in place in the bed, and there's the photo. So now I'm going to go ahead and load a picture, and I'm going to try to engrave a picture and then have it cut out as well, which will automatically resize the photo and make it in black and white. So we'll see how that works. I'm going to do it real small, so I place it there. Now I want this to be cut out, so I'm going to go back over to layers next, and so it's already set for image engraving. This is this section right here. It does have automatic power of 90, speed of 1,000, but I need to change the material because the last thing I used was brushed stainless steel. So I'm going to go over to the material section and select the plank, and then I put in a basswood board, and it is 3mm thick. So I'm going to select that and then confirm. So from there it did change the speed and the power settings for it based on the materials and me doing an image. So it changed the speed to 5,000 and power of 30. Now I'm going to place a rectangle around the image as another layer. That way I'll have that be at 100% power and it'll cut out that image. And to do that, you go over here to the side under the shape tool. You'll click on that, and I'm going to do a rectangle. Then you go to the image and draw a rectangle. And I'm drawing it just on the outside of the image. And then over here, so it added an extra layer, which it has it set to line engraving. I want to change that to line cutting, which I want to change the power to be 100% power. And for some reason the default, it changed it back to brushed stainless steel, so pay attention to the material. I have to change that again to the basswood 3mm thick. I guess when you're originally selecting it, you need to select all layers right here. Instead, I had it selected as current layer on the previous time I did this. So you have to select all layers and then confirm. And then it auto populated the speed at 500, power 100%, because you want it to be 100% to be able to cut through the material. All right, now I'm going to, you want to do the autofocus next before you are ready to do the laser engraving. You want to autofocus the camera to the material so it'll adjust the laser height to the material itself. So let's take a look. I'll click on the autofocus now, and you'll watch it adjust the height of the laser. Like that. Now, next thing to do before you hit the start button, you want to frame it. You want to press on that frame button so that way it confirms that it's going to be framed properly to the workpiece that you're cutting. So I'm going to hit frame right now, and I'll outline where it's going to cut and engrave. Okay, that looks good. Now go back to the program, and then you'll hit the start button. Click on start. Alright, so here's the completed image engraving on basswood. I took a picture beach resort, and I was able to capture it on wood now and then cut it out. How cool is that? So I think it's pretty good for a first attempt. Obviously the settings can be changed, and then see how it can improve by just adjusting some settings. It might be a little too dark for what I was looking at, but I think overall it captured it pretty well. So you can do any kind of pictures then, whether it's people or places. Capture those precious moments that you had while traveling and turning it into a project like this. Once the laser is done, it goes back to the back corner to its home position, and then it clears the smoke out of the inside of the area here and extracts it outside. You'll still get like a little bit of a smoke smell inside the room that you have it in, but it's definitely not as bad as what it would be if you did not have it ventilated outside. So I'd say for the compact size of this laser, it's pretty capable of handling projects like this, and whether you're doing crafts or maybe a small side hustle. To do this engraving did take about 20 minutes to do, so just be mindful of the timing that it does take for whatever project you're going to be doing. But this is basically printing a picture onto wood, so it has to make all those passes in order to engrave all that, whereas something like this took a little bit less time, just because it's like less lasering of the compared to the image. So my final thoughts and recommendation. So as someone who's never used a laser engraver before, my takeaway on the Falcon A1 Pro is this is a very good way for a DIYer or hobbyist to jump into laser engraving and cutting without feeling totally overwhelmed. It gives you room to grow and solid features for beginners, and output that feels professional. If I were deciding right now, I'd say if you're serious about doing custom projects, whether it's from wood, acrylic, maybe leather, and want a machine that's usable now and upgradable later, you can go for this. If you're just doing very casual one-off engraves and don't care about those extra features, you might consider something less expensive. But given its ease of setup and capability, I feel confident that within a few weeks I'll be producing a lot more creative stuff with it. And remember, I got this unit from Creality to review. Again, full transparency, I'm not sponsored, but I have affiliate links below if you'd like to check it out, and if you use them, it helps support this channel at no extra cost to you. If you like this kind of first time review, me learning the machine and doing the setup, walking through the projects, let me know in the comments and hit that subscribe button. I'll be doing follow-up videos with more advanced work, material testing, and metal projects as well. And I'll come up with some other tips and tricks I pick up along the way. Thanks for watching. Be safe, especially with lasers. Keep ventilation going, and I'll see you on the next DIY project. DIY Crasher out.